I have problems with people who intentionally mislead others, perhaps others that are not as educated or don't have as much experience or supposed knowledge in the subject. I have problems when people continue to use intellectual and academic dishonesty to convince others that their opinion is right.
And one indicator of intellectual dishonesty is the fallacy of poisoning the well. In other words, I also have a problem with you.
And on the subject, Lauren Southern has really been bothering me.
Is someone jealous?
I think it's important to look at where she's coming from and her own opinions and see how that has influenced her thoughts on feminism.
Well, considering you don't actually look at how these views could influence someone's thoughts on feminism, I think I'll do that myself.
So, the libertarian ideology. So it's a political ideology.
It's a political leaning, not an ideology.
That values individual freedoms, individual rights.
Individual rights and freedoms? I don't know how this could in any way conflict with feminism.
To self-rule.
I have absolutely no clue why they wouldn't like feminists.
They're interested in decreasing the role of government.
Well, with the state it's in, can you blame them? I apologise. I know that was horrible.
So the idea is you're free to do what you want with your life as long as you don't infringe too much on others' lives.
I'm still not sure why they'd have an issue with feminists.
So that's sort of the basis of where she's coming from.
Yeah, individual rights and freedoms, not infringing upon the rights of others. These seem like pretty good things.
So now, let's talk about feminisms.
Yeah, let's talk about feminisms. It was probably intentional, but it just sounded funny.
So Lauren speaks about feminism, and she's coming from it, like the only feminism that exists is radical feminism.
Let me guess, you're going to label all feminism you don't like as radical feminism. Hashtag kill all men is clearly radical feminism. However, hashtag yes all women is clearly mainstream feminism.
When in fact this is not actually true.
Feminism isn't radical feminism, just like dogs are not Labradors.
And she doesn't address the history and the need behind feminism.
I would point out that the history behind feminism was one that was rewritten by feminists, and the need behind feminism assumes there is one.
So, feminism is kind of like an umbrella ideology for movements towards ending sexism.
Arbiter of truth, tell me more.
There are so many kinds. You can't say all feminism is radical feminism. You can't treat it that way.
And you can't say that anti-feminists think all feminism is radical feminism. You can't treat us that way without it being a straw man.
Also, if anyone's interested in looking at feminisms that do speak about male roles in society, I suggest reading some scholarship by Bell Hooks.
Bell Hooks? You're serious? You do realise that this woman was extremely heavily influenced by Bell Hooks. I'm going to keep this image up just to make sure that I send my message correctly.
So Lauren brings up a list of men who have been accused of sexual assault. She speaks about how damaging these accusations have been to their lives. Again, let's go back to our fact-checking. So I simply Googled the list of names. None of those men that Lauren even mentions are from Canada.
Because that was a claim made in the video, and clearly not you just trying to nitpick something so you can dismiss it.
Some of them weren't even actually charged. Some, it was just more informal complaints. Some were charged. Some did not go to trial. Some did. Some were found guilty. So it's a whole barrage of different
punishments. Because not one of those men walked away unscathed. That's the problem.
In different countries.
That's it. I'm coining the term Canadiocentrism.
That don't apply to Canadian law.
Exhibit A. You're assuming these were the points being made, and you haven't justified such. As far as I'm concerned, this is a straw man.
One of the main issues that I'd like to speak about is that Lauren believes that there are no services for male victims of sexual violence. So this can include sexual assault, domestic violence. Lauren says that there are no court advocacy programs, no safe houses, no subsidized counseling, and no legal help for men. This is in fact untrue.
Arbiter of truth, tell me more.
In BC, where Lauren lives, as to where I live, there are court advocacy programs available for everyone who's a victim or survivor of domestic violence or sexual assault or abuse. You can fill out an application if you're a victim of domestic violence or sexual assault for free counseling. So it's not even subsidized, it's in fact free counseling.
Well, let's go and have a look at those links. Oh yeah, and fuck you for making me manually type them out instead of putting them in your description, you lazy child. Well, link 3 was dead, so I don't know what's going on with that, if it's a broken link or something. Then I checked out link 1, and down the side it said Victim Services, so I decided to click on that. And it came up with the Ministry of Justice, which has a double plus good name, and it looked like it had maybe Victim Services, and then I realised it said Violence Against Women Programs. I don't really think I'm going to find any recognition of male victims here. And then last, male service was for abusers. How the fuck is this helping victims? I knew one of those was going to be for abusers before I even read the descriptions. I knew none of them would work before I typed them in and checked them. I'm not even, like, experienced in this. I haven't been doing this for decades. I've been doing this for less than a year. And already, it's so fucking predictable.
Now, Lauren does speak about the lack of safe houses for men. This is true.
Yes, and because feminists have billions at their fingertips to deal with victims of domestic violence, and they give it all to women, that suggests the feminists don't care about male victims.
In terms of legal help, the Legal Services Society of BC is available, so you can get free duty counsel advice. Whether you're a man, woman, trans, it doesn't matter who you are, what gender you are, you can still receive free advice.
You can get legal advice for pretty much anything. That's not what's being talked about here.
So those are some of the points that I wanted to bring up where Lauren intentionally misconstrued the facts.
No, that's what you did.
And wanted to distort the viewers' understanding of the criminal justice system in Canada.
You assumed it was all about Canada. And I'll say something extremely ironic.
So Lauren, please do your research.
It took 15 minutes to check your facts. That was all it fucking took.
Please conform to the same academic and intellectual standards that you have to in school when you're not in school.
Well, given how most universities are, I guess that just means...
Please conform.
I couldn't risk catching that Freudian slip. And now say something self-evidently true due to its lack of specificity.
It's important, and this could actually very well affect the lives of male survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault.
Yeah, and it might convince some of those men to fight for equal fucking rights. And I apologise in advance for this bit.
Now, say my name.
It's Spinosauruskin.
You're goddamn right.